So this is 4.1 and it's solving applications of systems of linear equations. So if we look at example 7 on page 263, reasons for not using the internet. Of American adults who don't use the internet, about 33% are either just not interested or don't have a computer. So there are 7% more adults who are just not interested than those who don't have a computer. And they want you to find the percentage of adults who are just not interested and those percentage that don't have a computer. So one of the things you need to do is make sure in your important list that you identify each variable. So they did that really nicely. They said X is going to be the percentage of those who just don't care, they're not interested. Y is the percentage of adults who don't have a computer. And then they wrote the equation. So X plus Y equal to 33. That's combining both of the groups. That's what makes the 33% as you see in the beginning. And then the X minus Y equal to 7, well that's basically the 7% more. So basically 7% more of the people who just don't care than the ones who don't have a computer. So then they solved this for the slope-intercept form, and then they graphed it, and then they found the intersection to be 20, 13. And then they made a statement. They said, thus 20% of the adults who don't use the internet are just not interested. That's my X. And then the 13% don't have a computer. And then they went to the fourth step, which is just to prove that it does work. Because 20 plus 13 is 33, and 20 minus 13 is 7. So let's do that to problem 75. So let's go to page, I believe it's on page 268. So let's go to page 268. And this one is 75. Recorded music in 2013, digital downloads, streaming subscriptions accounted for 60% of all music revenue. Digital downloads revenues were double the streaming subscription revenues. Okay, so A, they want you to let X represent the percentage of revenue for digital downloads, and Y is the percentage of revenue for streaming subscriptions. Write a system of equation, and then B, solve your system and interpret what you find. Okay, so let's do the same thing that they did. Let's make an important list. So I'm going to go and make an important list. So my important list one was the variable, so X, I always do that, I bump it, I think. So X is going to be the digital download revenue. So it's the revenue for the digital download percentage. And then Y is the revenue for the streaming subscription percentage. Okay, so I've written that. Then I also know that the total is 60%. Okay, so that means that if I total these, X plus Y should be 60. And then the last part it says is digital download revenues were double the streaming subscription. So that means that the X is twice what the Y is, because it's double. So now I have my two equations just by generating my important list. And so now I can turn them into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to minus X from both sides. So I've got Y equal to negative X plus 60. And then I'm going to divide by 2 because I want Y by itself. So that's Y equal to 1/2 X. So here's my first equation, here's my second equation. So I'm going to go ahead and graph them now. So I'm going to go to Y equals, and I put them in, negative X plus 60, and then 0.5 X for the other one. And then I hit graph, and so here's my graph. For my window, since I knew it wasn't going to get bigger than 60, I went from 0 to 65. And then I saw that it's not going to get any higher than 25, so I went 0 to 25, count my 5s. So that's how I got this graph. Okay, now I need to know the intersection, so I'm going to go to second calc. I'm going to ask for intersection, which is 5. Hit enter 3 times. And it tells me it's 40, 20. So now I know my solution is 40, 20. So what does that mean? Well, that means that 40% is the revenue for the digital downloads, and 20% is the revenue for the subscription, okay, percentage. So does that fit the two equations? Well, yeah, 40 plus 20 does equal 60, and 20, right? Well, that is 40 equal to 2 times the 20. So that 40 equals 40. So it fits both both equations. And so that tells me right away that I did it right. And so this is kind of how these are done. The important thing is to always make a list. Don't worry about, okay, what's the equation? Don't jump that fast. Make a list and start to use that to help you to write an equation. And like I said, when you write an equation, it has to be all about the same thing. So that's one thing that's important. Like everything is all about the same thing for the total here. Everything is the same thing when we're talking about comparing the two. So always think about making an important list before you start jumping into trying to solve it really quickly.